We all know who Albert Einstein is. He is a respected name known by everyone in the world with his world-famous theories and formulas. Have you ever wondered about the childhood of this genius? Was he really a very successful student? Let's examine it from Einstein's own mouth. I am Albert Einstein, born on March 14, 1879 in Ulm, Germany. My father owned a small electrochemical factory, but was not a very successful businessman. My mother Pauline's world was music. She was a talented pianist. He especially played Beethoven's piano pieces beautifully, and listening to my mother was my greatest joy as a child. My family was of Jewish origin, but we lived an open-minded, rich life full of cultural activities, free from religious bigotry. However, they were very worried about me, even though I was a lucky boy with a good family. Why do you think? I didn't play with my friends much. I had a quiet, introverted nature, and even though I was 5 years old, I couldn't speak properly yet. My parents were worried and took me to the doctor. However, later on, my tongue opened and I started to speak normally. I cannot forget two important events that happened in my childhood. One is the mystery I found on the magnetic compass that was a gift from my uncle when I was 5 years old. It piqued my curiosity. The other is Euclidean geometry I met when I was 12. After I started primary school, I started to feel uncomfortable with the strict discipline and rote understanding at school. Although I was not on good terms with school, I was doing very well in my classes and getting high grades, especially with the support of my uncle Jacob. I skipped first grade and was top of the class most semesters. I was 6 years old when my mother started me to take violin lessons. He sent my sister Maja to piano lessons. I attended classes until the age of 14. I liked Mozart's sonatas very much, and I worked for days to improve my technique just to be able to play them. At school, I was getting top marks in Latin and math. High school was much more disciplined than elementary school. I was constantly in conflict with authoritarian teachers. I was doing the opposite of what the teachers told me to memorize instead of teaching. I had an independent and rebellious personality, and they didn't like me very much. Our family had a very old tradition. We were inviting a poor student to our house for dinner. A poor college student named Max Talmud attended dinner once a week. I enjoyed chatting with a college student who was older than myself. The Talmud also treated me like a classmate. We were talking about science, math, and philosophy. The Talmud brought me various popular science books, and I studied them with great enthusiasm. Once the Talmud brought Euclid's Elements. I started working on the problems in the book. Before the summer was over, I had not only solved all the problems, but also found alternative proofs to the theorems. After the compass at the age of 5, my most impressive and life-altering gift is this book. In the summer of 1891, my engineer uncle Jacob, who knew about my interest in mathematics, brought me an algebra book. That summer, I decided to study algebra. I was able to solve even difficult and complex problems. At the age of 16, I had learned analytical geometry with integral calculations on my own. In October 1895, I went to Zurich and took the entrance exam to the Polytechnic University. It was necessary to be over the age of 18 to take the exam, but a special permit was obtained for me to enter at the age of 16. Following my father's suggestion, I applied to the engineering department. I got very good grades in math and physics in the exam, but I failed in other courses. They advised me to get a diploma in a Swiss high school and reapply, and I enrolled in a high school in the Aarau region. These were the best years of my youth. High school located in a village 30 kilometers from Zurich was ideal for me. Joost Winteller, an open-minded teacher whom I respect, created a relaxed atmosphere at school. It encouraged students to think independently, and this approach suited my personality very well. After 4 years of education, I graduated from Polytechnic University with a physics degree. I wanted to find an assistant position at the university, because I could do research. But during my university years, I had arguments with many professors because of my rebellious and knowledgeable attitudes. Some professors refused to attend classes and study the subjects I want. He didn't like it. I left my job as an assistant at the university. I couldn't even find a job to teach in secondary school. Finally, with the help of a school friend, I settled on an ordinary job at the Bern Patent Office, but I couldn't break away from science, which was my original dream. Each of my 3 works, published in 1905 in the Annalen der Physik, was a turning point in the history of physics. In 1909, I quit my job at the patent office and became an associate professor of theoretical physics at the University of Zurich. In 1911, I returned to Germany in 1914 with a professorship at the Karl Ferdinand University in Prague. I became director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Physics and professor at the Humboldt University of Berlin. I was president of the German Physical Society for 2 years. According to my newly developed general theory of relativity, I calculated that the light of another star would be refracted by the sun. I became the owner of this with fame and glory a few years later when Arthur Eddington was confirmed in his observation of a solar eclipse in 1919. The fact that the incident was reported in the international press made me a world-famous scientist. I was awarded the Einstein Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921. Since my theory of relativity was still considered controversial at the time, I received the prize for my work explaining the photoelectric effect. It was 1933 when, while visiting American universities, I learned that the German government had forbidden Jews from working in all official institutions, including teaching at universities. A month later, the Nazis began a book-burning campaign, and unfortunately my works were among those burned. I decided never to go back to Germany. In the summer of 1939, a few months before the start of World War II in Europe, I somehow managed to send a warning letter to U.S. President Roosevelt that Nazi Germany had built an atomic bomb. In the same letter, I advised the American government to do research on uranium research and chain reactions. I have repeatedly warned my fellow asylum seekers that Hitler would be quite willing to use this weapon. As a result of my letters, America entered the race to develop the bomb, and the USA was the only country that could develop the bomb during the war. Years after the war ended, I told my good friend Linus Pauling, "I have made one big mistake in my life, advising President Roosevelt to build an atomic bomb. Yes. I am Albert Einstein. With special relativity and general theories of relativity, I have revolutionized the understanding of space, which has been dominated by Newtonian mechanics for 2 centuries. The mass-energy equivalence I formulated explained how stars generate energy and paved the way for nuclear technology. I have made many contributions to modern physics. I spent most of my life creating a unified field theory that unites all these theories. Now it's your turn to take this work further. We might even have had to set up a separate channel to tell about Albert Einstein's contributions to humanity and the research he has done throughout his life. Since you've watched it so far, you can click the subscribe button under the video and like the video. See you in the next video.